Another beautiful day in the City of Roses for baseball with Game 2 of our 3-game set between the Santa Clara Broncos and the Portland Pilots. We welcome you to the Bluff and Joe Etzel Field for our game today. I'm Brian Slack. I'll have your call. The Pilot Bats came alive in the opener yesterday to the tune of a 7-1 victory and taking the opener in this pivotal penultimate series to conference play. The Broncos do look to bounce back today, and even in the series with the winner of this 3-game set put into position to possibly get that bye going into the WCC tournament in a couple of weekends. On the mound for the Portland Pilots today, it's right-handed pitcher Joey Gartrell of Canby, Oregon. Gartrell is making his 12th start of the season with a 4-4 record, a 4.92 ERA. He's thrown 64 innings, giving up 65 hits, 35 earned runs, with 56 strikeouts to 19 walks. Opponents are hitting .259 against him on the season. Now the lineup for the Santa Clara Broncos today. Leading off out in left field, John Bering, followed by Dawson Brigman, the second baseman, who bats second. Michael O'Hara moves down a couple of slots. He's now batting third out in right field. Eamon Lance, the DH, moves up to the cleanup spot. Efren Manzo, the first baseman, bats fifth. Coleman Brigman, the center fielder, will be batting sixth. Malcolm Williams, the shortstop, batting seventh. Thomas Ferragero, the eighth hole hitter, is over at third base. And then Ben Steck will be the catcher today for the Broncos behind the plate, and he'll be batting ninth. So basically the same lineup for Santa Clara, but some shifting up and down in the order as John Bering steps to the plate. Bering, a junior from Seaside, California, is batting .316 on the season through 42 games. The first pitch from Gartrell gets a strike on the outer half of the plate, about thigh high. It's 0-1. While he's been swinging .316 on the season, he's got 48 hits, 11 for extra bases, and he's driven in 18 runs. Softly hit ball that goes off the glove of Pataxel as he tried to attack that one. And Bering's going to second as the ball's in shallow center field. The outfielder's playing back. Sukata couldn't get to it, and Bering on second to start today's game. We'll see if they mark that one down as an error or a hit. It was a difficult play for Pataxel at short to try to make. He was charging that one and took a short hop. Again, went off of his glove and slowly trickled out into shallow center field. It's a hit for him as he ends up at second. So the leadoff man in scoring position, that'll bring up Dawson Brigman. Brigman, the redshirt senior from San Jose, California, batting from the right side. Inside pitch in the right-handed batter's box, goes for a ball. It's 1-0. Defensively for the Pilots today, Briley Knight in left, Jake Holcroft in center. Christian Cooney gets the start today in right field. Evan Scavato at third, Pataxel at short, Sukata at second, and Tolia over at first with Nick Klemp back behind the plate for another game. Brigman puts a fly ball into center field. Holcroft is going to get behind it, comes up throwing towards third as Bering is tagging up from second, and the throw is too late as Scavato leaves the tag on. Bering successfully makes it over to third after tagging up. And now 90 feet away from scoring and taking the first run of today's ball game. The Broncos are in perfect position for Michael O'Hara coming to the plate. Bering did get credit with a double with his hit as Michael O'Hara now steps to the plate. The left-handed bat, the senior from Danville, California, steps in, batting .309 on the season through 42 games. And he lines one into center field. Holcroft will let that one bounce in front of him. Bering will score, and it's an RBI single for O'Hara. And the Broncos are on the board first. Yesterday, the first two batters reached base with Nick Brink on the mound, and then Brink responded with 3 straight strikeouts to get out of that inning. But, now the Broncos strike early here in the top of the first with only 1 out. That brings up Eamon Lance, the DH today, the senior from Fairfax, California, only playing in his 11th game of the season. Lance is hitting .342 through those 10 games with 13 hits. Of those 13 hits, 7 have gone for extra bases, including 4 home runs and 8 RBI. Gartrell throws and misses low and away for a ball. It's 1-0. Portland wearing their purple tops today with the cutoff sleeves and the pinstripe pants. Meanwhile, the Broncos are wearing their black tops with Broncos and script across the chest outlined in white with the gray pants. Here's a chopper over to short. Pataxel gets it, underhands it to Sukata. The relay throw in time. Twin killing will end the threat here in the first, but the Broncos get on the board first with an RBI single from Michael O'Hara, and they take a 1-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the first. It'll be Pataxel, Holcroft, and Scavato coming to the plate for the Pilots when we return on the WCC Network. Cade Pilcher gets the start today for the Santa Clara Broncos. The redshirt junior from Roseville, California, is only making his third start on the season. He's gone 3-0 on the year through 13 appearances with a 4.15 ERA and 39 innings underneath his belt. He's allowed 26 hits, 18 earned runs, 35 strikeouts to 17 walks, so about 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, and opponents are hitting a $195 against him on the year. Pilots lineup today. Ben Pataxel will lead us off, followed by Jake Holcroft and Evan Scavato, starting the same lineup for the most part as yesterday. Klemp will be batting cleanup. Zach Tolia bats fifth over at first base. Briley Knight will be batting sixth out in the left field. Christian Cooney gets the start after he got a pinch hit single yesterday late in game one. Sukata will be batting eighth, moving up one spot, and then Riley McCarthy finds himself in the starting lineup as the designated hitter today. The 1-0 lead. Pilcher delivers first pitch to Pataxel. It goes high above the letters for a ball. It's 1-0. The umpires today, Garrett Wilson is behind the plate. John Bostwick, who was behind the plate yesterday, is over at first. Tyler Schmidt moves over to second, and then Dale Gardner is now the third base umpire. Chopper over to short. Malcolm Williams gets it on a high hop and delivers a strike over to first to get Pataxel. One out already here in the first. Yesterday, it was the Pilots who jumped out to an early 3-0 lead in the first inning, thanks to an RBI single from Klemp. And then Zach Tolia delivered a 2-run home run to add some extra runs in that first as Jake Holcroft steps into the batter's box today. Puts one into center field, and Brigman will make the catch after taking a few steps in. 2 quick outs for Pilchard on the mound. 3 pitches and 2 outs. Let's get to the defense for the Broncos today. John Bearing in left. Coleman Brigman is in center. Michael O'Hara out in right field. Thomas Ferragero is at third. Malcolm Williams at short. Dawson Brigman at second. And Efren Manzo gets the start over at first. And then Ben Steck back behind the plate today for his second consecutive start in this series. Evan Scavato takes a high pitch for a ball. He'll start out 1-0. Scavato on the season is batting .301 through 42 games. Takes a strike to even the count at 1-1. 46 hits with 16 for extra bases with 38 RBI, which leads the Pilots this season, the most by a Pilot hitter since Cody Hawken back in 2019. Scavato fouls it off to our right and across the street. We'll go to the 1-2 count with 2 outs. Yesterday, the Pilots did some damage with 2 outs. They got 3 runs in the 8th, and they got their 3 runs in the first, all with 2 outs, as Scavato taking ball 2 on a pitch that's inside. Scavato added an RBI yesterday when he went 3 for 5. 3 singles. The 2-2. Some of the Broncos were ready to head into the dugout. Scavato's eye leads to a ball, though. Full count, 3-2. And Scavato swings at an inside pitch and goes down with a strikeout. 1-2-3 for the Pilots to start off today's game. It remains 1-0 lead for the Broncos as we head to the second. Efren Manzo, Coleman Brigman, and Malcolm Williams will be coming to the plate on the WCC Network. Efren Manzo leads off the top of the second for the Broncos. Joey Gartrell back out on the mound, delivers a first pitch slider for a strike. He'll start Manzo out 0-1. The junior from Chandler, Arizona this season is batting .306 through 44 games. 53 hits, that leads this ball club. 14 home runs, and he's driven in 44. 31 extra base hits out of those 53. The 1-1. Manzo hits a ground ball to the right side, taken in by Sukata. And the first out here in the second is retired. Coleman Brigman will come to the plate now, the center fielder for the Broncos. Senior from San Jose, California, is batting .292 on the season through 44 games. Takes an inside fastball for a strike, 0-1. Brigman with 52 hits, that's second on the club. With 18 extra base hits and 36 RBI. Gartrell puts this one alone away in the left-handed batter's box. It's 1-1. Hot one here today at Joe Etzel Field. 90 degrees and sunny, not many clouds in the sky as Gartrell almost has his head taken off as Brigman singles into center field. And with one out, there's a man aboard for the Broncos. That'll bring up Malcolm Williams, the shortstop today. Now the dangerous part about the Broncos is they do like to steal bases coming into this weekend. They were second in the conference with 53 stolen bases. Klemp did throw out Malcolm Williams, the man at the plate, yesterday. Gartrell throws over to first, no tag applied by Tolia. Coleman Brigman, though, second on the team in stolen bases. He has 9 on the year and 13 attempts. He's been thrown out 4 times. Clem threw out his 7th runner trying to steal a base yesterday. Again, it was Williams at the plate. Another throw over by Gartrell. Malcolm Williams, the sophomore from Lake Oswego, Oregon, having a homecoming this weekend along with Thomas Ferragero, who comes to the plate next. Wilsonville, Oregon product. Williams lays off of that one. It's 1-0. The sophomore is batting .285 on the season through 44 games with 49 hits, 28 runs. Of those 49 hits, 10 have gone for extra bases, and he's driven in 24. Another throw over to first. Wind has picked up as well. 13-mile-an-hour winds that are blowing into right field. You have to think anybody on the left side of the plate could get a hold of one and send it over the fence. Another throw over by Gartrell. Broncos trying to even up this series at 1 apiece. Runners going, and there might be interference. Doesn't matter, they got Brigman anyways. And there was interference on Williams. He got in the way of Klemp. And Klemp picks up his 8th runner trying to steal. Second time in this series. And now Coach Filter out to argue why Williams will get called for a strike on that one with interference. Here's another look at it from behind home plate. The swing, and then he went and stepped on the plate. So he did get in the way of Klemp. Sukata applied the tag. So 1-1 on Williams. 2 outs now here in the top of the second. Williams puts it into the backstop. It's 1-2 after that foul ball. The Broncos and the Pilots are trying to fight for 3rd place right now in the conference with a chance to set themselves up to get into 2nd in the final weekend as Williams pops this one up. It'll go to our right and out of play, out of the stadium, and we'll reset on the 1-2 count. No chase from Williams on a high fastball away, 2-2. You have to think the Broncos are going to be thinking now, maybe you can't quite run on Klemp. Second time he's thrown somebody out in this series. Williams puts this ball into left field. Briley Knight is coming in, and he'll make the catch. And with the help of the runner caught stealing, it's 1-2-3 for the Broncos at the plate. We head to the bottom of the second, see if the Pilots can get anything going. Nick Klemp leads us off, followed by Zach Talia and Briley Knight when we return on the WCC Network. Nick Klemp, who just threw out a base runner, now set to lead us off here in the bottom of the second inning with his first at-bat. Klemp is currently on a 12-game hit streak for the Pilots. And now Cade Pilcher is being asked to remove the necklace that he has on by the home plate umpire. As Coach Filter comes out, takes the necklace away from Pilcher, and will get set for the bottom of the second inning. Klemp on a 12-game hit streak, went 1 for 4 yesterday with 2 RBI in 5 at-bats. He walked with the bases loaded in the 8th yesterday, bringing in a run, and then he had an RBI double which was his 19th double on the season. Takes an inside pitch for a ball. He'll start out 1-0. The grad student from Everett, Washington, batting .363 through 41 games on the year. Swings through one from Pilchard. It's now 1-1 on the count. 61 hits with 23 for extra bases, including 19 doubles. And extend that hit streak to 13 with a single to start off this second inning. Leadoff man is aboard for the Pilots as they trail 1-0. Zach Tolia coming to the plate. I mean, the career year just continues for Clem. Think about what he did last year, which were previous highs for him, 29 hits and 18 RBI. And this year, 61 hits compared to the 29 last year and 36 RBI. To his 18, he's doubled his RBI total. Tolia taking a first pitch strike away, about thigh high on him. It's 0-1. Sophomore from Gig Harbor, Washington, and the transfer from the University of Utah is batting .328 on the season through 34 games, making his 31st start on the year. This one put in the ground. Steck can't block it, and that'll move Klemp up to second base on the wild pitch. Tolia yesterday went 1 for 4 with a walk and a 2-run home run, which is now the team high 8th home run of the season for him. On his 39 hits, he's driven in 25. This one he fouls off and will reset with the 1-2 count. Briley Knight is on deck. Tolia currently on a 13-game on-base streak, as that pitch just missed out of the zone, according to Garrett Wilson. That'll even the count at 2-2. Earlier in this season, he had a 20-game on-base streak. And if you were paying attention, he's only played in 34 games, so that's only one game this year where he hasn't reached base in some capacity. The 2-2. Inside, just getting his hands out of the way of that one and backing up. That'll make it a full count now, 3-2. Tolia has been a great pickup for the Pilots from the transfer portal from Utah, University of Utah, I should say. After Sam Brown, the former first baseman for the Pilots, transferred to Washington State, Tolia sends this one down the third baseline and foul over Matt Kelly, the third base coach for the Pilots. We'll go back to the full count, 3-2. But Tolia, one of 4 guys currently with an on-base and or hit streak going for the Pilots. Briley Knight, the man on deck, also has one going at 12 games on base right now. The full count, Tolia goes down on strikes. And the first out recorded here in the bottom of the second. Now Briley Knight coming to the plate. Another transfer from the University of Utah, but he's been in a Pilot uniform for the last few seasons. From Corvallis, Oregon. Actually born in Australia, dual citizenship for Knight, as Pilchard steps off the rubber, keeping an eye on Klemp. Knight, senior, batting .325 on the season through 40 games. Now, he missed a few games as he had to sit out due to concussion protocols after taking a ball during BP pregame. I believe it's down at the St. Mary's series. And he missed all 3 games, having to go through protocol. Here he takes a 1-0 count into the second pitch now from Pilchard. Through his 40 games, again, .325 with 52 hits and 21 for extra bases, including 17 doubles. This next pitch goes high above the shoulders and away. It's 2-0. Both Knight and Klemp are second and third in the conference in doubles hit. Klemp with 18, Knight with 17 now. This ball fouled off. It's 2-1. Wind now blowing in straight from center. And you'll see that flag shift a couple of times throughout today's game. We got 13-mile-an-hour winds at Joe Edsel Field. The throw to Knight. Takes a strike on the outer part of the plate. What looked to be about belt high. It's 2-2. Infield playing back. In fact, Dawson Brigman, the second baseman, is playing in shallow right field at the moment. The 2-2 delivery. Knight goes down on strikes. Second straight strikeout for Pilchard, responding after giving up the leadoff single to Nick Klemp. And that'll bring up Christian Cooney, who gets the start in right field today. Cooney came in the 8th inning as a pinch hitter for Tristan Gomez in the designated hitter spot. He singled and tried to score at one point yesterday and was thrown out at the plate. So now he has a chance to drive in a run for the Pilots. One of two different Central Catholic high school players playing in today's game. One for Portland, that's Cooney. The other one being Thomas Ferragero, the starting third baseman for the Broncos. If you're looking on your screen right now, just to the left of the catcher, you can see those maroon hats. A couple of Central Catholic Rams in attendance today. The 1-0 to Cooney. Not chasing as it ends up in the left-handed batter's box. 2-0. Cooney, the Portland product, batting .284 on the season through 32 games. He's making his 25th start on the season. 27 hits, 9 for extra bases, and he's driven in 20 on the year. Has a chance to get to 21 with a base hit here. Takes a breaking ball for a strike, inner half of the plate. It's 2-1. And that one got Cooney on the hand, and he'll take his base. And now you're going to get Coach Filter coming out because it did sound like it might have made contact with the bat, which would technically be a foul ball and not a hit by pitch. And now you're going to have Filter talking with Garrett Wilson, the home plate umpire, keeping his distance, trying not to get into any trouble with the umpire. Now there's 2 on after the hit by pitch. And now you're going to bring in the umpires. They're going to gather up. Again, it sounded like there might have been some contact on the bat. We're going to get a look on the replay. Yeah, it could have hit the bottom part of the bat right there on the handle, on the knob. Did sound like it did make some contact with some metal. And I think they're going to stick with their original call. Cooney's going to be over at first, so it doesn't matter. Coach Filter will have to accept that one as he sits in the dugout. Can Jake Sukata extend this inning for the Pilots, possibly get a run across as he steps to the plate for the first time today? Pilchard throws a fastball away for a ball. It's 1-0. Sukata, the junior from Honolulu, Hawaii, is batting .287 on the year through 40 games. 41 hits, including 7 for extra bases. Fastball just below the belt, inside part of the plate. It's 1-1 after that strike. Sukata now with 19 RBI on the season as he went 1 for 3 yesterday with an RBI single. Fouls this one off away to our left. That'll end up near the Childs Center. It's 1-2. Sukata, while he's hitting .287 on the season, he's hitting .321 with runners on and 380 with runners in scoring position. Right side of the infield playing back. Williams keeping an eye on Klemp. And here's a ground ball hit over to Williams. Comes up, throws over to first, and that will end the Pilots' half of the second inning. Sukata's thrown out, stranding 2 runners on. Nobody comes in and scores. It remains a 1-0 lead for the Broncos as we head to the third. Bottom of the order, Ferragero, Steck, and then back to the top to John Bearing when we return on the WCC Network. Thomas Ferragero leading off the third inning for the Broncos in his first plate appearance today. The freshman from Wilsonville, Oregon, and graduate of Central Catholic High School here in Portland, starts out this at-bat with an 0-1 count. Gartrell missing the zone there will make it a 1-1 count. Ferragero is batting .262 on the season as he makes his 17th start. Playing in his 24th game, he's got 17 hits. He fouls this one off away to our left. Seven RBI on the season for the true freshman who bats from the left side. The 1-2 from Gartrell. Challenged him with a fastball away, and he spoils it into the netting above the Pilot dugout. Back to the 1-2 count. Pilots took game 1 yesterday, 7-1. They can take the series today, but the Broncos trying to get back into it. They too are fighting for one of those top 2 seeds in the conference. Everybody's trailing LMU and San Diego at the moment, but with the win yesterday, the Pilots took sole possession of third place. A high chopping ball. Sukata will play it behind the bag at second. The quick throw, not in time. Ferragero has himself an infield single. It was difficult. That ball pounded right into the ground in front of home plate. Sukata, who was charging it from his second base position, did the best that he could. But Ferragero, running a hard 90, gets the infield single, and that'll bring up Ben Steck, the catcher. Steck, a junior from Mill Creek, Washington, and a transfer from Everett Community College, lays down a bunt. Gartrell will field it down the first baseline, and the sacrifice bunt moves Ferragero over to second and into scoring position. So the Broncos playing a bit of small ball right now as John Bearing will come to the plate. He led off today's game with a double, and not your traditional double, reaching it to the outfield. It actually was a chopper over to short. Tough play for Pataxel, who didn't have a clean handle of it, went off of his glove and into shallow center field, and Bearing, credit to him, running hard right out of the box. Noticed that nobody was getting to the ball very quickly and took second base. Puts a big league pop-up in the air right here. Klemp throws his mask, searching for it. I don't think he sees it. Now Tolia calls off Scavato, on the first base side as the two pilots almost run into each other, but the big league pop-up ends up in and out. And there's two away with a runner on second, and that'll bring up Dawson Brigman. Brigman already 0 for 1 today. He flew out to center field to Jake Holcroft. That actually got John Bearing to tag up and go to third. Set him up to come in and score on the RBI single from Michael O'Hara. Brigman yesterday, though, went 0 for 2 with a couple of walks. Did reach 3 times, 2 walks and an error. Takes a first pitch strike here, falls behind early in the count, 0-1. Sukata retreats from the bag at second. Gartrell throws a breaking ball that's going to be hit into right field. Cooney searching for it, seems to find it and makes the catch. And after the leadoff single, the threat is neutralized. Ferrogero left on base. And we head to the bottom of the third. It's Riley McCarthy leading off the Pilots, and then followed by Ben Pataxel and Jake Holcroft at the top of the lineup when we return on the WCC Network. Bottom of the third inning, Santa Clara holding a 1-0 lead that they got back in the first inning as Riley McCarthy steps to the plate. First batter here in the bottom of the third. McCarthy playing in his 21st game of the season and only his 11th start. So he takes a first pitch slider that breaks away from him, 0-1. The Vancouver, Washington native is hitting .237 through 20 games this year with 9 hits and 7 RBI. He's playing in his first game since February 28th at BYU. Falls behind early in this count, 0-2. Pilcher gets the strikeout on 3 pitches. So McCarthy starts out with a strikeout. And we'll go back to the top of the lineup for the Pilots to Ben Pataxel. Pataxel 0 for 1 today. He grounded out to short on the second pitch that he saw in his first at-bat. Went 1 for 5 yesterday with an RBI that he picked up in the 8th inning. Twisted his body out of the way. He thought that was a ball, but it's called a strike by the home plate umpire, Garrett Wilson. So it'll be 0-1. Pataxel currently on a 5-game hit streak. Chopper down the third baseline. Ferrogero is, actually it benefits the Broncos. It goes foul. Ferrogero was going to make a play on it, and the rotation on the ball, it bounced away from him into foul territory. So Pataxel's actually going to have to go back to the plate with an 0-2 count. He would have had himself an infield single, I think, had Ferrogero made a play on it. But again, that rotation took it away from the play and into foul territory. Tough break for the pilot from Renton, Washington. Junior's hitting .279 on the season through 41 games. He's got 38 hits. And the check swing, he did not go around. They were looking for the strikeout. But in 41 games, he's got 38 hits, including 10 for extra bases with 18 RBI. Wind blowing in, but also towards right field. As Pataxel, the good eye right there, works himself back to an even count of 2-2. Pilchard already with 4 strikeouts on the day. Pataxel lines one into right field, and making the catch subtly on the run is Michael O'Hara as he was trying to get a beat on it. And that'll be the second out of the third as Jake Holcroft now comes to the plate. Most strikeouts for Pilchard this season is 5. Holcroft takes a slider at the knees, far side of the plate for a strike, 0-1. Lines this one foul and out of play. We'll go to the 0-2 count now. The 0-2 with 2 outs. And lined. Oh, a great play by Malcolm Williams. Stabbing that one out of the air and robbing Holcroft of a hit. And that'll end the third inning for the Pilots. The line out to the shortstop, Malcolm Williams, making the play right there. And we head to the 4th inning as Michael O'Hara will lead us off, followed by Eamon Lance and Efren Manzo. Another look at the terrific play by Malcolm Williams at short. We'll be right back on the WCC Network. Michael O'Hara leads off the top of the 4th inning against the Pilots. Already 1 for 1 today with an RBI single. And that is the difference in our ball game right now as the Broncos have a 1-0 lead. First pitch slider that broke onto the plate late. It's 0-1 to start off O'Hara. O'Hara yesterday went 2 for 4 with a couple of singles. 0-1, gets it off the end of the bat. Another breaking ball from Gartrell induces a strike. It's 0-2. O'Hara with 51 hits on the season. That's 3rd best on this ball club. 4 different players with 50-plus hits on the season for the Broncos. The check swing, they appeal down to Dale Gardner, who says O'Hara did not go around. It'll be 1-2. Wind blowing in from center. Infield playing back. Chopper, and that one's going to go high above Scavato, and he can't make a play on it. Infield single for O'Hara, another one that's pounded right into the ground, and with a high hop, no throw was able to be made. So the leadoff man is aboard for the 3rd time in 4 innings so far, as Eamon Lance will come to the plate. He grounded out into a double play to Ben Pataxel in the first inning. That ended the threat after O'Hara had his RBI single. Lance yesterday went 0 for 4. Clem able to backhand that one. Was put into the dirt by Gartrell. That'll start out Lance 1-0. Ground ball over to Scavato, gloves it, and the throw errant into right field. Sukata couldn't make a play on it. That'll be an error. O'Hara's being sent home. Cooney comes up throwing. It'll be cut off by Tolia, and the error leads to another run. Scavato gloving that ball, making a nice play over at third, but can't turn that into an out. It was hard to tell from this angle, but I don't think Sukata could have made a play on that one. Scavato making his 10th error on the season on that play. And now it's a 2-0 lead with Efren Manzo to the plate. He's 0 for 1 today. He grounded out to Sukata in the second inning. It's an unearned run, and Lance will reach on the error. Looked like you could have had another double play. Instead, a run comes in, and another man is on base as Manzo gets a strike to even the count at 1-1. 5 hits now in this game for Santa Clara. Second error in this series for the Portland Pilots. And talking with Coach Loomis over the past few weeks, doing some prep before our Portland CW games, as a breaking ball gets in there for a strike far side of the plate on Manzo. It's 1-2. But he kept talking about playing clean defense. That's the only way these guys are going to win these tough battles. Now, at that point, he was talking about those midweek games against Oregon and Oregon State, but same goes for these conference games. Have to play clean defense if you want to, I don't want to say guarantee you a victory, but it certainly adds to your chances, as it's now 2-2 on Manzo. Gartrell peeks over his shoulder as he gets set on the first base side of the rubber. Manzo's punched out. Good response by Gartrell not to get rattled after that error. And if you listen to us throughout this season, when I say us, I mean when Corey Keir's in the booth with me as well. You get another look at this strikeout. But it's Gartrell's ability to try to limit compounding negatives. And in his response, gets a strikeout after the error. Brigman at the plate. He's going to put this one down the right field line, and it's fair. One hopper off the wall near the foul pole. Rounding third is Lance, and he's held up as Cooney was able to get it in quickly. Coleman Brigman has himself a double, his second hit of the day. And now there's runners at second and third with only one out. It'll be Lance at third, Brigman at second, and that brings up Malcolm Williams. Now Lance, if he scores, it'll be another unearned run against Gartrell due to the error. First pitch to Williams. Ground ball over to Scavato. He blocks it with his body, comes up, and he can't get it across the diamond in time. Williams will have himself an RBI single. And a tough inning continues for the Pilots out in the field as they're battling this heat and the pressure put on by the Broncos. This is a great response by Santa Clara. After losing 7-1 yesterday, they're coming out with 6 hits already through the first 3 1/3 innings, as it's now 3-0 with another run coming in. Coach Lambert with a visit to the mound. Nobody warming up in the bullpen for Portland. Checking in on his pitcher, seeing how he's feeling, trying to calm the infield down. Scavado's had to deal with a couple of difficult plays here. Remember, Michael O'Hara had an infield single as he sent a ball right into the ground in one hop, but it took Scavado back near the outfield grass. He was unable to get a throw in. And they're actually going to count Williams. It's not going to be a hit. It's going to be an error on Scavado, so E5. As Thomas Ferragero comes to the plate, he started the third inning off with a single, but couldn't get past second. As the freshman from Wilsonville, Oregon, picked up his third hit of this series. Pops this one up, Klemp giving chase, and he makes the sliding grab on the bunt attempt from Ferragero. 2 gone. Freshman can't help out his team right there. Klemp showing why he's the starting catcher for the Pilots. Not many balls get away from him on wild pitches, and he makes spectacular plays just like that. Able to track the ball so quickly off the bat on a ball that wasn't hit all that high in the air on the bunt attempt. So 2 outs, runners on the corners. First pitch strike to Ben Steck. Steck does not have an official at-bat on the day as he had a sacrifice bunt in the third. 2 runs have come in this inning. It's 3-0 now in favor of the Broncos. Brigman is over at third. Williams is over at first as Steck fouls off this pitch behind us. It's 0-2. Steck takes the high fastball above the shoulders for a ball, 1-2. Pilots will need to get something going. Klemp has extended his hit streak to 13 games. He's got the only hit so far, though, for the Pilots. Runners going towards second. And he went around. Steck goes down on a strikeout. Williams won't get credit for the stolen base. Steck goes down to end the inning, straining 2 runners on. But 2 runs come in to score. It's now 3-0 in favor of Santa Clara. They get the benefit of a couple of errors that turn into runs. We head to the bottom of the 4th. Scavado gets a chance for redemption with Klemp and Tolia following suit when we return. Evan Scavado leads off the 4th inning, looking for a bit of redemption after a couple of errors led to 2 runs for the Broncos in the top half of the 4th inning. Scavado 0 for 1 with a strikeout back in the 1st inning. Swings at a high slider. It's 0-1. Scavato, the junior from Puyallup, Washington's batting .301 on the season through 42 games with 46 hits, including 16 for extra bases. Takes a ball here, 1-1. Pilots would love to get the bats going right here. They win today, they win the series, which really sets them up pretty well going into the final week and to possibly get into that 2 spot in the conference standings and a bye in the WCC tournament. Santa Clara's trying to go for the exact same thing, but they have to win today. And right now, they're in the driver's seat up 3-0. No added pressure for the Pilots, but they're playing in front of the namesake of this field, Joe Etzel, in attendance today, as Scavato having to drop his bat and duck out of the way of that one. It's a 3-1 count. Starts with getting the leadoff man aboard. Scavato turns on one. Hot shot off the fence in front of the dugout for the Pilots. Full count now on the Puyallup, Washington native. Infield playing back. Dawson Brigman, the second baseman, playing close to the bag at second, and Scavato goes down with his second strikeout of the day. This time to start off the 4th inning. And the 5 strikeouts now, that ties a career high for Cade Pilchard. He did that in his first start of the season against the Washington Huskies. First pitch to Nick Klepp over the white line of the right-handed batter's box for a ball. It's 1-0. That game came all the way back on February 19th. He had 5 strikeouts and 3 1/3 innings of work. The longest outing that Pilchard has gone this year, 6 2/3. Klepp not chasing on the fastball that ends up in the left-handed batter's box. 2-0. Klepp went 1 for 4 yesterday with 2 RBI. Strike at the top of the zone away from Klepp makes it 2-1. He's the only one that's gotten anything going. He had a leadoff single in the second. Reached second base on a wild pitch. This one backhanded by Williams in the 5-hole. And the stretch from Manzo gets Klepp. 2 gone. Zach Tolia will come to the plate now. Tolia struck out on his first at-bat, but he's hitting .328 coming into today. Takes a first pitch ball from Pilchard. Pilchard so far through 3 2/3 has thrown 47 pitches. Off the plate, Tolia takes the ball, now ahead on the count 2-0. The open stance for Tolia, 2-0. Rips one into left field. John Bearing towards the line, but he drops it in front of the warning track. Tolia was going to hold up at first. Now he tries to get to second, and he will, sliding in feet first. And it looks like Bearing was going to make the catch just in front of the warning track, and he just dropped it. That'll be an error. But Tolia extends his on-base streak to 14 thanks to the error out in left field. He's now in scoring position, and that brings up Riley Knight. Always a dangerous hitter in this Portland Pilot lineup. And a chance here to do some damage, at least get 1 run across with 2 outs on the board. Pilots got 6 of their 7 runs yesterday with 2 outs. Inside and low near the ankles of Knight starts him out 1-0. Pilchard in this inning has started out each batter with a ball. Can the Pilots take advantage of the error? Popped up towards the bullpen for Portland. Ferragero trying to give chase and reaching over. That ball ends about 6 to 7 feet away from him. Can't really make a play on that one. It'll make it 1-1 on Briley Knight. One delivery high above the letters. 2-1 now as Knight sits ahead in the count. Knight had a 2 RBI double against Oregon State on Tuesday. Those were the only 2 runs for the Pilots. Yesterday he went 1 for 4, extending his on-base streak to 12 games. No chase on the pitch. Blown away in the right-handed batter's box. It's 3-1. Again, 90 degrees here on the bluff. I'd say it's unseasonably warm here in May. The 3-1 with 2 outs. Knight rips this one into right field. Tolia's going to score. The ball bounces off of O'Hara's glove, and that's a ground rule double. Briley Knight, his 17th double of the season. Brings in a run, and it's now 3-1. Just have to speak it into existence for the young man. As Knight picks up his 35th RBI, and that'll tie him for 3rd place with Jake Holcroft on the team. Christian Cooney steps to the plate. Only the 2nd hit of the day for the Pilots, as Tolia reached on an error, and the on-base streak is now extended to 13 for Briley Knight. First pitch to Christian Cooney, low out of the zone. He'll start out 1-0. That last hit, one hopper, O'Hara had to jump up in the air to try to stop it, and as he did, it went off the top of his glove and over the right field wall. Good eye from Cooney. He thought about chasing that slider that broke away. It's 2-0. Pilchard with 5 strikeouts on the day. That ties his career high. Trying to get out of this inning without giving up another run. Cooney. I don't think he liked that last call. Kind of gave that O face like he couldn't believe it. It's now 2-1 after that strike. Jake Zucato's on deck if Cooney keeps the inning going. Right side of the infield is more shading towards the second base bag. Cooney lines one into center field. Briley Knight is sent around third. Brigman throws home, and it's not in time. Standing up with an RBI single. It's Christian Cooney driving in Briley Knight, and the Pilots are right back in this game as Cooney reaches base for the 2nd time today. Pilots now trail 2-3. I should say 3-2. And now you're going to get a mound visit. There is a lefty warming up in the bullpen currently for Santa Clara. Now they've got a couple more bodies heading down the right field line to get into the bullpen. As Rusty Filter, the 6th season head coach for Santa Clara, checking in on his pitcher. Filter was doing a great job through the first 3 2/3 of this inning. And then an error started this little rally for the Pilots as Zach Tolia had a hard hit ball into left field that John Bering just couldn't handle. Popped right out of his glove. That allowed Tolia to get the second. Briley Knight had a ground rule double that drove in Tolia. Now you've got Christian Cooney getting in on the action as he drives in his 21st RBI of the season. And it just seems like when you put Cooney in the ball game, he seems to do good things more times than not. Two outs, Christian Cooney. He's going for second. Steck, who leads the conference in throwing out runners with an errant throw right there that reaches the second baseman, Dawson Brigman. It was Williams who went to go cover the bag. That's a stolen base for Cooney. Another guy in scoring position as Cooney gets his 3rd stolen base of the season. And the wind now blowing hard out to right field. 13-mile-an-hour winds today. Pilots have life here. In the bottom of the fourth, they responded. This ball pulled down the first baseline, and they're saying it's fair. Fielded by Manzo, he steps on the bag, and that will end the threat for the Pilots here in the fourth. But they scored 2 runs and now trail 3-2 as we head to the 5th inning, top of the order for the Broncos, Baring, Brigman, and O'Hara when we return. Top of the 5th inning, Joey Gartrell back out on the mound for the Pilots with some backup after getting a couple of runs as John Baring steps to the plate. First pitch just breaks out of the zone low for a ball, 1-0. Baring committing only his 2nd error on the season, and that led to 2 runs scoring for the Pilots. In the bottom of that 4th inning, a check swing. They appeal down to Dale Gardner. Baring went around. It's 1-1. Baring on the day is 1 for 2. He doubled to start off this game. Popped up his last time up. Tolia fields it, throws it to Gartrell, who's covering the bag at first. And Baring is retired. First out in the 5th, and that'll bring up Dawson Brigman. Brigman is 0 for 2 today. Fly out to center to Jake Holcroft and a fly out to Christian Cooney. In the 3rd inning, he went 0 for 2 yesterday, but did reach base 3 times, once via the error and twice via the walk. First pitch from Gartrell in this at-bat. Chopper back up the middle. Sukata cannot make a play on it behind second base, and Brigman gets his first hit of the series with a single and 1 out here in the 5th. Now coming to the plate, it's Michael O'Hara. 4 for 6 in this series, including 2 for 2 today with a couple of singles and an RBI. Yesterday, O'Hara had 2 singles out of the leadoff spot. O'Hara now with 53 hits. That ties him with Manzo, who's gone 0 for 2 today, for the team high in hits this season. We'll start off this at-bat, 1-0. Keep an eye on Dawson Brigman, 8 stolen bases and 14 attempts, but also keep in mind, Nick Klemp has already thrown out 2 runners trying to steal second base by the Broncos this series. Brigman fakes like he goes to second. Gartrell missing low out of the zone. It's 2-0. The 2-0 delivery. O'Hara dropped his shoulder, but it's called a strike. 2-1. Seven hits given up by Gartrell today. Only 1 earned run, though, as in the 4th inning, when they gave up those 2 runs, there were a couple of errors that contributed to that, as O'Hara now sits ahead in the count 3-1 after Gartrell missing the zone again. Nobody up in the bullpen for Portland, so it's Gartrell's inning. Sophomore from Canby, Oregon. throws. O'Hara pops this one up. It'll go out of play behind us to our left. Brinkman was breaking towards second, but now we've got a full count with one out. Runners going towards second. A fly ball sent out to Briley Knight in left. He makes the catch, trying to throw all the way to first, and they do the double play! Briley Knight getting the assist on the double play right there. Brinkman gets doubled up. He was all the way at second, and the Pilots will get out of the fifth inning without giving up a run. Briley Knight, the heads-up play out in left field. As we head to the bottom of the fifth, Riley McCarthy will lead us off, followed by Ben Pataxel and Jake Holcroft. And another look at the double play by Briley Knight.
We will have senior posters and baseball cards featuring.
Riley McCarthy will lead off the bottom of the fifth inning as the Pilots trailing by one again. First pitch he sees, chopper towards the 5-hole taken by Ferragero, the third baseman, who cut off Williams, and they get McCarthy out at first. One out away to start off the fifth inning. Freshman making big plays over there at third as Ben Pataxel will come to the plate. Still in absolute awe of how that top of the fifth inning ended with Briley Knight, an absolute rope from left field all the way to the first base bag with the helpful stretch from Zach Tolia to double up the Broncos on the base path. Pataxel pulled back the bunt. It was called a strike. He'll start out 0-1. The Renton, Washington native 0 for 2 today. Ground out to short, and then he lined out to right field in his last at-bat. Slider from Pilchard off the plate far side from Pataxel. It's 1-1. Pataxel pulls this one foul. One hopper off the fence of the bullpen of the Pilots. As Caden Siegel runs out of the dugout to try and get that foul ball that's now in left field. 1-2 count on Pataxel. Outfield slightly shaded to their right. Infield playing back. The 1-2 delivery to Pataxel. High chopper up the middle. Williams tries to make a play on it behind the bag at second. And Pataxel will be safe. They should give him a single on that one. I think he beat that throw as the ball popped out of the glove of Manzo at the last second. And that will be a hit, and that extends his hit streak to 6. Jake Holcroft comes to the plate. 69 hits on the season. That puts him in a tie for 9th place for most hits in a single season for the Pilots as Pilchard puts one in the dirt. It's blocked by Steck. Pataxel will stay put over at first. So Holcroft ahead in the count, 1-0. Holcroft on the day is 0 for 2 with a fly out to center field and then a line out which was a terrific play by Malcolm Williams over at short. Inside, and that one hits Holcroft in the foot. He reaches base for now a 19th consecutive game after being hit by that pitch. And if you're wondering who leads the Pilots in most hits in a single season, it's actually the head coach for the Pilots, Jeff Loomis, 80 hits in a single season. It happened in 1992, and he actually sits in second place as well with 79 hits in 1991, the season prior. So now with runners on first and second and only one out, Ben Steck is going to have a meeting with his pitcher on the mound. As Pilchard started out strong through the first 3 2/3 innings, he had 5 strikeouts, which tied his career high. But since then, he's given up 3 hits, he's hit a batter, and an error by his left fielder has resulted in 2 runs for the Pilots in the bottom of the 4th. And now Scavato has a chance to add on to his team high 38 RBIs on the season. Head coach now, Rusty Filter, going out to the mound, and I have to think this is probably a pitching change for Santa Clara. They had a couple of arms warming up at the time over the last inning plus. And Filter gives the point over to the bullpen. Cade Pilchard's day is done, and that means we're going to head to break with a new arm coming onto the mound for the Broncos when we return on the WCC Network. Blake Hammond takes over on the mound for the Santa Clara Broncos. The 6'3" sophomore from Lafayette, Colorado, throws a first pitch ball to Evan Scavato that Steck is able to keep in front of him. Both runners stay put. Hammond on the season, a 6-1 record, which is actually the most wins in the West Coast Conference at the moment. In 15 appearances, he has a 2.06 ERA. Through 39 and third innings of work, he's allowed 25 hits, only 9 earned runs, 58 strikeouts to 22 walks, and opponents hit 191 against him on the season. As Scavato taking a strike there makes it 1-1. Pilchard is responsible for the runners on first and second. Pataxel reached on a single, and Holcroft got hit by a pitch in the foot. So with the 1-1 delivery, Scavato takes a strike on the far side of the plate. It's 1-2. Oh, they're saying it was actually high, so it's 2-1. My apologies. Originally, he called it a strike, but it's 2-1 is the count. Gave an explanation over to the Santa Clara dugout. Check swing by Scavato. They appeal down to first to John Bostwick. He's saying he did not go. So Hammond in some trouble right now. Already inherited 2 runners on base, and Scavato now with a 3-1 count. Scavato's 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts today. Looking to add another hit, though, to his resume this season. High for a ball, reaches base via the walk, and now the bases are loaded for the Pilots here in the 5th. The inning started with a ground out to third. Thomas Ferragero, who jumped in front of Malcolm Williams to get the chopping ball on the infield, threw out Riley McCarthy. And now you've got a single, a hit batter, and a walk, all in succession, as Nick Klemp, who's hitting .363, leading the Pilots this season, now steps to the plate on a 13-game hit streak. As he takes a first pitch strike, falling behind 0-1. He extended that hit streak in the 2nd inning with a single, reached second on a wild pitch, and then was left stranded there. His previous at-bat, though, in the 4th, he grounded out to Malcolm Williams at short. The 0-1. High breaking ball from Hammond, just never broke for him. It's 1-1. Hammond gets set from the stretch, first base side of the rubber. Klemp takes a strike on the outer half of the plate. Looked like a fastball there. Thigh level, it's 1-2. Klemp drives one into right field. The Pilots will tie it up with Pataxel scoring. Holcroft is held up at third, and it's an RBI single for Nick Klemp, and we're all tied up at 3 apiece. Pilots just resilient, even falling behind early. They fought their way back. And that brings up Zach Tolia, who reached via the error in the 4th that started this rally for the Pilots in the 4th inning. He reached with 2 outs via that error and scored on a Briley Knight double. Let's see if he can cash in for the Pilots again as Steck using his body to block that pitch from Hammond. It's 1-0. Infield is playing back. Now Manzo almost even with the bag at first, but staying behind Nick Klemp with his leadoff. So Leah takes that strike to even the count at 1-1. That last run will be attributed to Pilchard, though. He was responsible for Pataxel, and he's still responsible for Holcroft over at third. The 1-1. Tolia swings through it. It's 1-2. Only 1 out right now here in the bottom of the 5th. Broncos scored 1 in the 1st, 2 in the 4th. The Pilots responded by scoring 2 in the bottom of the 4th and now 1 in the bottom of the 5th. Steck using his body to block that pitch again from Hammond, 2-2. Steck is active behind the plate today. Tolia drives one into right field, a one-hopper. Over to O'Hara, Holcroft scores. Scavato is going to come in and slides in feet first, and the Pilots take the lead 5-3, thanks to the 2 RBI single by Zach Tolia. Clint moves up to second, and that's where he stays put right now, but 3 runs have now come in here in the 5th inning. As Briley Knight steps to the plate, 1 for 2 today with an RBI double, and he extended his on-base streak to 13 with that double. He starts out 1-0. Hammond coming into this weekend was the most recent WCC pitcher of the week. He got a win in 6 innings in relief with 8 strikeouts and only 1 earned run. Knight fouls this one off to our left. Did so in the San Francisco series. A couple more arms running down to the bullpen for Santa Clara. Hammond, the 1-1 delivery. Another one in the dirt that Steck is able to keep in front of him, so both runners stay put at first and second. Knight fouls it off behind us and 2 are left. 2-2 now is the count. Knight playing in his final home series in a Pilot uniform after graduating last weekend. Beautiful breaking ball right there by Hammond. Gets Knight to go down swinging. 2 outs now as Christian Cooney comes to the plate. Cooney's reached base twice. He's 1 for 1 on the day. Got hit by a pitch in the second inning. He got hit in the hand. And then in the fourth, he had an RBI single that scored Briley Knight. And he also had a stolen base. Takes an inside pitch in the right-handed batter's box for a ball, 1-0. Pilots have come back, trailing 3-0 early on in this game. They now lead 5-3. Cooney takes a strike, 1-1. 3 hits, a hit batter, and a walk, all in this inning. Cooney's the 7th batter to come to the plate. Breaking ball from Hammond, too far, almost in the left-handed batter's box. It's 2-1. Ferragero playing behind the bag at third. Williams' heels are on the outfield grass. That's the shortstop. Cooney takes the curveball and fouls it off to our right. We'll go back to the 2-2 count. Cooney picking up that hit earlier, now hitting .292 on the season. Hitting .355 with runners in scoring position, .345 with 2 outs. Runners are going, ground ball hit over to Dawson Brigman. His only play over to first, and they get Cooney. And that ends the inning for the Pilots, but they score 3 runs, and they take the lead for the first time today. They lead 5-3, in part to Zach Tolia with a 2 RBI single as we head to the 6th inning, middle of the order. Lance, Manzone, Brigman when we return. Pilots take the lead in the bottom of the 5th, and Gartrell back out on the mound. He's set up for the victory at the moment. We'll see how the rest of this game plays out, though. First pitch to Eamon Lance. Half-hearted check swing, went around first strike. It's 0-1. Lance is 0 for 2 today, but he did reach base back in the 4th thanks to an error by Evan Scavato. trying to turn two. The throw over to Sakata at second ended up in right field and all the way in front of the bullpen for the Santa Clara Broncos in that right field corner. So Lance takes a ball here. It's 1-1. Couldn't ask for any better weather here at the ballpark. 90 degrees today, no clouds. There's a breeze of over 10 miles an hour. Started out at 13 miles an hour, blowing into right field as Lance takes strike two from Gartrell. It's 1-2. Lance taking the ball. Now 2-2 in the count. Lance is 0 for 6 in this series right now. He only reached base thanks to that error the last time he was up at the plate as Gartrell throws high and away on a fastball. That'll make the count full at 3-2. This ball popped up on the infield. Scavato fighting off the sun, looking for it behind the mound. Now it's called off by Sakata, and he makes the catch behind his left shoulder. Difficult play, and there's one away to start off the sixth.
First baseman, number 12,
Efren Manzo comes to the plate, 0 for 2 today. He's 1 for 6 in this series with an RBI. He drove in the only run in yesterday's game for Santa Clara. Big swing and a miss on the off speed from Gartrell. So far today, Manzo grounded out to second to Sakata, and then he struck out back in the fourth inning. Fouls us off to our right, now to play. Behind 0-2. In the dirt, blocked by Clem. First ball of this at bat. It's now 1-2. The 1-2. Manzo goes down on strikes. Second time today. Pretty efficient day for Joey Gartrell on the mound. He's only at around 50 pitches right now with 2 outs already in the top of the 6th inning. You see why nobody's been warming up in the pen despite some early runs by Santa Clara. They jumped on pitches early in the count. As Coleman Brigman, who's 2 for 2 today, 3 for 6 in the series, and picks up his 3rd hit of the day with 2 outs. He reaches via the single. So after going 1 for 4 yesterday, he's 3 for 3 today. He has yet to score, though. Got caught stealing back in the 2nd. Stranded over at 3rd in the 4th. And we'll see how the 6th inning ends for him as Malcolm Williams is at the plate. 0 for 2 today. Williams pops this one up. Klemp is going to watch this one sail behind us, and it's 0-1. Williams flew out to left field to Briley Knight back in the 2nd inning. And then Williams reached on an error when Scavato, who was playing in on the infield grass at 3rd, dropped down to a knee and kept the ball in front of him, but Williams still reached base over at 1st. Now he sends a fly ball that'll go out of play to our right, and just missing the car out in the street to our right. It's 0-2. Williams is 2 for 6 in this series currently. The 0-2. High, Clem able to stand up and get to that one. It's now 1-2. Williams had a pair of strikeouts yesterday. Sandwiched between those strikeouts was back-to-back singles, but he never got past first base. So the inning ended one time and he was caught stealing the other. Another foul ball. Williams fights off. So far through 5 2/3 inning, Gartrell has allowed 8 hits, 3 runs. Only one of them has been earned. No walks and 3 strikeouts. And again, he's roughly around 50 pitches, a little over that. Turns on one and goes foul. He sits around 55 pitches at the moment. The 1-2, and he throws over to first to keep an eye on Brigman. Williams making this a tough at-bat as Gartrell tried to induce a swing. Doesn't get it, though. It's 2-2. Top of the 6th inning here at Joe Etzel Field. If the Pilots hold on to win this one, they win the series. And have a good chance of moving up the leaderboard. Another throw over to first. Ground ball hit over to short. Petaxa will handle it. The underhand to Sukata to get the force out. And that'll send us to the bottom of the 6th. In a 5-3 ball game in favor of the Pilots, Jake Sukata will lead us off with McCarthy following suit and Petaxa at the top of the lineup when we return on the WCC Network. Jake Sukata set to lead us off here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Swing and miss on the off speed from Hammond. He'll start out 0-1. Sukata on the day is 0 for 2 as he grounded out to Malcolm Williams at short in the 2nd, and then he grounded out to Manzo at first. That ended the rally in the 4th inning for the Pilots when they got their first 2 runs across. Strike called on Sukata. It's now 1-2, 1-2, excuse me. Sukata, chopper over to second, taken in by Brigman, and the easy out. Sukata now 0 for 3 on the day. Riley McCarthy will come to the plate. No, he will not. He'll be pinch hit for by Justin Sukata, freshman brother of Jake Sukata. And he has come up with some big hits this season. Sukata has 4 hits. He's 4 for 14, batting .286, making his 12th appearance on the season. Hammond delivers a fastball to the left-handed bat. It's 0-1. Of those 4 hits, 3 of them have gone for doubles. He's driven in 2 runs. And those 2 runs were big. They actually came in the 9th inning against the University of Oregon a few weeks ago in the midweek matchup in which the Pilots, who were trailing by 2 going into that 9th inning, Sukata had a 2-out RBI double, 2 RBI double, I should say. That tied us up, and he goes down on consecutive pitches. 2 away here in the 6th, and that'll bring up Ben Petaxa, who just extended his hit streak to 6 in his last at-bat with a single in the 5th.
Shortstop, number 11, Ben Pataxel.
Pataxel taking ball one high. Breaking ball for a strike will even the count at 1-1. Inside, Pataxel twisting his body out of the way of that one. Pataxel leads the conference in hit by pitches this season. He's been hit by 17 pitches. Closing in on the Pilot record. Puts one down the right field line. It's going towards foul territory, and it does. A one-hopper into the bullpen for Santa Clara. We'll come back to the 2-2 count on Pataxel. Another one down the right field line. It goes foul. This one might end up on the berm. Goes back to the 2-2 count. A lot of people on that right field berm taking advantage of the shade here at Joe Edsall Field in this 90-degree weather. Patiently waits on a high fastball. Full count now to Ben Pataxel. Good eye by Pataxel. Borderline pitch near the bottom of the zone. He reaches via the walk. So 2 outs. That'll bring up Jake Holcroft, who extended his on-base streak to 19 back in the 5th inning as he was hit by a pitch in the foot. Still looking for that hit. He's standing on 69 hits on the season right now, trying to get to number 70. High chopper sent over towards second. Bregman gets it on the down hop. And that'll end the inning here for the Pilots. We head to the 7th, a 5-3 lead for Portland. Ferrogero, Ben Steck, and then John Bering at the top of the order. All coming to the plate next for the Broncos on the WCC Network. Joey Gartrell out for the 7th inning with a 2-run lead as Thomas Ferrogero comes to the plate. He's 1 for 2 today. Singled back in the 3rd, and then he popped out on a bunt attempt to Nick Klemp. He made a sliding grab on his knees in the 4th inning. Ferrogero is now 3 for 6 in this series, just getting out of the way of that one. He thought he got hit by that pitch, and the home plate umpire, Garrett Wilson, says otherwise. Coach Filter's out in front of his dugout, but I don't think he's going to be leaving that much further from it. And now he retreats back in. The 2-0 count. Ferrogero ground ball to the right side towards second base. And Sukata takes the ground down. One away. As Ben Steck will come to the plate. He's 0 for 1 today. Sacrifice bunt in the 3rd, and then he struck out back in the 4th. He's 0 for 4 in this series. Steck taking a strike on the slider from Gartrell. When you think about the all-time pitching performances in Major League Baseball, you think of those dominant 20 strikeout performances, which has happened 4 times in Major League Baseball. Steck takes a ball there. It's now 1-1. But back on this date, back in 1952, the unthinkable really happened. Steck taking a ball there. Ron Nachai did something that not Walter Johnson, not Bob Gibson, not even Nolan Ryan did. He struck out 27 hitters in a 9-inning game. Steck takes ball 3 of this at-bat. Happened on this date in 1952. Nachai was just 19 years old at the time, playing in low A in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. Second strike called on Steck, now a full count. Steck, ground ball over to Scavato, gloves it on the short hop, and a strike over to first. Scavato gets him 5-3 in the scorebook, and there's 2 away. Now Nachai, drafted by the Pirates, pitched for the Bristol Twins, the Pirates Appalachian League. And despite battling through stomach ulcers most of his career, Nachai struck out those 27 batters in a 7-0 no-hitter against the Welch Miners. Now 4 Welch batters did reach base that day, as John Baring takes the first pitch strike at this at-bat. 1 got on via the walk, an error. 1 batter got hit, and then a passed ball was charged to the catcher, Harry Dunlop, on a swinging third strike as Baring takes an inside pitch for a ball. It's 1-1. This actually resulted in a 4-strikeout 9th inning, and only 2 batters put the ball in play. 1 on a ground out to first in the 4th inning, and 1 reached on an error in the 9th as Baring takes ball 2. It's now 2-2. There's only 27 outs in a baseball game, and he struck out 27 in that span. And even in his next start, he struck out 24 in a 2-hitter. Baring taking ball 3 here. Now, Nachai's baseball career did not last very long. By the time he was 20 years old, he did reach the Major League club in Pittsburgh, but he went 1-6 with 31 strikeouts in 54 innings as Baring fouls it off to the backstop. Full count now 3-2. After actually drafted to the Korean War, spent limited time in the United States Army during that time. He was medically discharged because of those stomach ulcers I mentioned a little bit ago. He had a torn rotator cuff that really limited his playing days and only spent 2 more years playing baseball. Check swing from Baring, and we'll pick up that story when we return. A 1-2-3 inning for Gartrell. He gets through the 7th, and the 5-3 lead continues for the Pilots. Coming to the plate, it's going to be Scavato, Klemp, and Tolia when we return on the WCC Network. Evan Scavato leads off the bottom of the 7th inning for the Portland Pilots. Scavato is 0 for 2 today with a walk. Did come around to score on that walk back in the 5th inning as Hammond back out on the mound in relief of Cade Pilchard, who went 4 1/3, allowing 4 runs. 2 of those were earned. Now, before the break, we were talking about Ron Nachai in his 27 strikeouts in a single game. 0-1. Fouled off by Scavato. Now, he did that in what would be considered now low A through the minor leagues. And even though he only played the one season in Major League Baseball, even at the age of 90, still receives fan mail from around the world. Talked about getting letters from Japan, from China, even from Germany and Europe because of that performance. The 1-2 delivered to Scavato, puts his bat on it, sends it into foul territory. We'll go back on the 1-2 count. It's something that he's still constantly reminded of because of that one performance. Not that it defined his life. He's mentioned that multiple times, but he is often reminded of it because it is such an incredible feat, striking out 27 batters in a single game. With the 2-2 count on Scavato, Hammond throws. Looked to be over the white line of the right-handed batter's box. Good call by the home plate umpire, Garrett Wilson. It's now full count, 3-2. Scavato rips one that's into right field, dropping back. It's O'Hara at the warning track. And it's Scavato here. A yabo for Evan Scavato. And a bit of confusion all the way around. Michael O'Hara tried to make a play on it up the fence. Even I lost it for a little bit. Looked like it went off the scoreboard or the netting in front of it. And add one more run for the Pilots. They now lead 6-3. The home run by Scavato makes his 8th of the season. That ties him with Zach Tolia for the team lead. And he now has 39 RBI. Scavato just continuing a terrific season as Nick Klemp pops this one up. And it goes just to the side of the dugout of Santa Clara. So it'll be a first pitch strike for Klemp. The Toreros lost today to St. Mary's, 6-0. And with the Pilots taking the series lead over Santa Clara, if they hold on to this win today, it'll technically be a tie for second place. But with the Pilots owning the tiebreaker, they would get that bye into the tournament. Now, there still is another weekend of play left, so plenty could go down. Klemp pops this one up. Shallow right field. O'Hara's coming in. Brigman, the second baseman, drops back and looking like an outfielder out there in shallow right field. And there's the first out of this inning. Klemp now 2 for 4 on the day. Zach Tolia comes to the plate. 1 for 3 today. Has reached base twice, though. Error in the 4th inning. He became the first run to come in and score thanks to Briley Knight's RBI double. 2 quick pitches from Hammond equals a 1-1 count now for Tolia. He had a 2 RBI single in the 5th. That's what gave the Pilots a 5-3 lead. As he fouls off this pitch, it gets Steck, and Steck is going to need a couple of seconds to regroup. Home plate umpire Garrett Wilson. Take his time, go talk with Hammond. Part of that courtesy between the home plate umpire and the catcher. And Tolia's punched out looking. Second out of the inning. Difficult pitch for him to take. It was going away from him. Can't do anything about that. Briley Knight swings at the first pitch. He'll start out 0-1. On the day, Knight is 1 for 3, 2 strikeouts, but he has that RBI double in the 4th that sort of got this rally going for the Pilots when they were trailing 3-0 in that 4th inning after giving up 2 in the top of the 4th. Foul ball pulled down the first baseline. The dribbler ends up with an 0-2 count now. And Knight is punched out for the third time today. So after the solo home run to start the inning by Evan Scavato to make it a 6-3 lead, 3 straight outs by Hammond on the mound. As we head to the 8th, 6-3 lead, Dawson Brigman will come to the plate, Michael O'Hara and Eamon Lance when we return on the WCC Network. Peter Allegro is now on the mound for the Portland Pilots. Allegro making his 14th appearance on the season. Normally a starter, but they're using him as a closer to the back end of the bullpen, creating, I wouldn't want to say worries as of late, but they want to add some insurance back there as Allegro gets a first pitch strike as Brigman fouls it off. Allegro on the season with a 4.86 ERA and a 5-3 record, 1 save. Through 63 innings of work, he's allowed 57 hits, 34 earned runs, 66 strikeouts to 23 walks. And opponents are hitting .237 against him on the season. Allegro trying to set himself up for the save. Brigman, high fly ball into left field. Briley Knight is coming in. He's going to be called off by Holcroft, who will make the catch in left center field. And the first out recorded here in the 8th, as Brigman now goes 1 for 4 on the day. That'll bring up Michael O'Hara. O'Hara, 2 for 3 today. A couple of singles, 1 run scored, 1 RBI. That came in the first inning. His last at-bat, though, was a fly ball out into left field in the 5th inning, where Briley Knight doubled up Dawson Brigman at first with an absolute rope from left field to get to Zach Tolia and double up the runner. Allegro starts out O'Hara with the ball here. It's 1-0. Comes back with a strike. It's 1-1. Allegro with 17 saves in his career. Puts him 3rd place all time in a Pilot uniform. Dribbler off the end of the bat. Scavato comes up from 3rd, and they get O'Hara over at 1st. 2 gone now in the top of the 8th. Scavato had a couple errors earlier in this game, but he has responded well, both at the plate as of late. Obviously, he had that solo home run in the 7th to add some insurance, but even defensively, he's come up with a couple of nice plays here. Allegro looking for what would be his 18th career save as Eamon Lance swings through the off speed from Allegro. Lance is 0 for 3 today, 0 for 7 in the series. He's reached base once. That was an error back in the 4th inning, one of them caused by Scavato. The 0-1. Make it 0-2. Allegro wasting no time here. Should be a reminder that Lance is only playing in his 11th game on the season, recovering from injury, but despite the 2 games here at Portland, he's done a great job. Through the 9 games coming in, he had 13 hits, hitting over 350 at the time, with 7 for extra bases, including 4 home runs. He was productive in the limited time so far. The 1-2 goes down on strikes. Allegro goes 1-2-3 here in the 8th. No runs, no hits, nobody left on, and it remains a 6-3 lead for the Pilots as we head to the bottom of the 8th inning. Christian Cooney, Jake Sukata, and it could be Justin Sukata. Who knows? It's the DH batting in the 9th hole. We'll be right back on the WCC Network. Christian Cooney leads off the bottom of the 8th inning for the Portland Pilots as they lead 6-3. Cooney on the day is 1 for 2 as he's reached base twice, though, once with a single, and he did get hit by a pitch in his first at-bat. Quickly falls behind 0-2. This one in the dirt, no chase. That'll make it a 1-2 count now on Cooney. As Blake Hammond still on the mound in relief. Rips this one into left field. Cooney has himself his 2nd hit today, 3rd hit in this series. And the leadoff man is aboard to start off the bottom of the 8th. As Jake Sukata now steps up, he's 0 for 3 today. A couple of groundouts, actually 3 groundouts on the day. Once to short, once to second, and 1 to first. Sukata yesterday went 1 for 3 with a walk, an RBI single, and he reached on the error as well. Tries to lay down a bunt, pops it up, and Ferragero will make the basket catch in foul territory. Sukata is retired. And Spencer Scott will now step to the plate. Scott DHing, the 3rd person in the DH spot today in the 9 hole. Started with Riley McCarthy, who went 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a ground out. Justin Sukata struck out in the 6th, and now it's time for Spencer Scott. Scott making his 28th appearance on the season. He's got 14 hits and 13 RBI. First pitch he sees, below the knees, out of the zone for a ball. It's 1-0. Joey Gartrell's day is done with 7 innings underneath his belt, under 70 pitches, 8 hits, 3 runs, 1 of them earned with 4 strikeouts, and no walks. Ground ball hit over to short. Williams tries to flip it over to second, and he sends this one into right field, into foul territory. Cooney tries to round third. He's going to be held up by Coach Kelly, and Scott ends up at second after the error by Williams. Williams now with his 14th error on the season. So runners both in scoring position as Ben Pataxel comes to the plate. And we're going to have pinch runner Ethan Lovelace will now come in for Spencer Scott. So Lovelace stands on second.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. Now running at second base, number 1, Ethan Lovelace.
First baseman Manzo playing on the infield grass. And now all the other infielders being pulled in. 2 in scoring position and only 1 out. Pataxil's 1 for 3 today with a single and a walk. Oh, he puts this one in the gap into right center field. Both runs are going to score. Cooney. Now it's Lovelace who rounds third. He's heading in. Pataxil has himself a 2 RBI double and some insurance runs for the Pilots. It's now 8-3. 8 unanswered runs by the Pilots after trailing 3-0 early in this game, heading into the bottom of the 4th. Pilots have gotten 2 in the bottom of the 4th, 3 in the 5th, 1 in the 7th, and now 2 here in the 8th as Jake Holcroft comes to the plate. Holcroft thought about it as it broke inside near his feet. He'll take ball 1 to start off this at-bat as they appeal down to Dale Gardner. He agrees he did not go around. It's 1-0. Stack blocking another pitch with his body. It's now 2-0 on Holcroft. We celebrate a few birthdays today here on the Bluff. Portland Trailblazers President Harry Glickman celebrating what would be his birthday as Holcroft grounds out to first for the second out. Moving over to third is Pataxil. I'd like to give a shout out to my mother-in-law, Shirley Fisher, as well, celebrating a birthday. And then our director/producer and Mr. Do-It-All this afternoon is Riley Clark back in the production area, celebrating a birthday as well. As Evan Scavato steps to the plate. He's 1 for 3 today with a solo home run in the 7th. Has to lift his arms out of the way there. He'll start out this count 1-0. Two gone and 2 in already in this inning. Scavato fouls it off. Near Nick Klemp, who's on deck. First strike at this at-bat. It's 1-1. The 1-1 popped up in the air. This one's going to go out of play, though, to our right. Now 1-2 on Scavato. In the dirt, Stack again. He's had his work cut out for him today. Having to block multiple pitches. And honestly, I think there's only been one that's gotten away from him. And that is the case. Just the one in the second inning that allowed Klemp to move up to second, but didn't harm the pitcher at that time. The 2-2 rips this one into center field. Brigman running back near the warning track. He's tracked it down, and he makes the catch just in front of the track. Fly out to end the 8th inning, but 2 runs come in to score thanks to the 2 RBI double by Ben Pataxil, and it's now 8-3 as we head to the final frame. Coming to the plate, it's Manzo, Brigman, and Williams for the Broncos when we return on the WCC Network. Welcome back to Joe Edsel Field, top of the 9th inning. Save opportunity for Peter Allegro as he came in last inning. When he had a 3-run lead, he qualifies for the save. If he can finish this one out, he's got a 5-run lead as Efren Manzo steps to the plate. First time facing Allegro, this one gets away from Klemp. It'll be 1-0. Manzo's 0 for 3 today. Ground out to Sukata in the 2nd, and then 2 strikeouts back in the 4th and the 6th inning. Some defensive changes for the Pilots after this pitch. High on Manzo makes it 2-0. Taking over in right field, Henry Mensch comes in as a defensive replacement for Christian Cooney. Ty Saunders now in the game at short as Ben Pataxel moves over to second and Sukata heads to the bench. Manzo, I think he wants that one back. Check swing, but he did go around. It's 2-1. Allegro looking for his 18th career save. Manzo lifts this one. High fly ball dropping back. It's Briley Knight. He's on the warning track. And off the top of his glove. Still in play. And it'll be a double for Manzo to start off this 9th inning. That was a difficult play for Briley Knight, having to try to scale that wall and make a play on it. So Coleman Brigman will come in now. Here's the replay. And with the wind that's been blowing out, and it is blowing towards left now, you thought this one might clear the fence. Knight giving good chase though, and actually met that one before it hit the wall. Had he been able to make a clean play on it, probably could have gotten that out. Unfortunately, it pops right out of the glove. And it leads to a double for Manzo. Only his 2nd hit of the series. He's now 2 for 8 with an RBI. And that came in yesterday's game in the lone run for the Broncos. It's Allegro. Puts one in the left-handed batter's box. It's now 2-0 on Coleman Brigman. Brigman has been a tough out today. He's 3 for 3, 2 singles and a double. But he has not scored in any of those instances. He did get caught stealing back in the 2nd inning. So with his 3-hit performance, he's now 4 for 7 in this series. Strike that paints the corner of the plate. First one of this at-bat, it's 2-1. Allegro, after initially falling behind 2-0 on the count, now evens it up with back-to-back strikes. It's 2-2. Holcroft will change his position. He had set up on the left side of second base out in center field. Now he's on the right side. Manzo with his leadoff. Pataxel keeps an eye on the runner. Allegro looks back. He'll attack home. Ground ball down the third baseline, and it goes off the bag at third. And no, it's going to be a foul ball. According to Dale Gardner, awfully close. It looked like it actually skipped off the top of the bag momentarily. But he's got the better view of it. I'm not directly on the line, so foul ball will go back to the 2-2 on Brigman. Scavato has been busy over there at third. Wind now blowing out towards right field. Ball hit into right center field. Mensch running that way. Holcroft will call him off. Makes the catch in right center field. Manzo will stay put at second, and the flyout results in the first out here in the 9th inning. First time they've gotten Brigman today. So that's a big out for them as Malcolm Williams, the shortstop, now steps to the plate. 0 for 3 today. A fly out, reached on an error in the 4th, and then he hit into a fielder's choice to end the 6th inning. So he's 2 for 7 in this series. He also had an error out in the field, which is his 14th error on the season. So Allegro fools him with the breaking ball, 0-1. Looks back at Manzo. Pataxel retreats back to his position, and a one-hopper right to Pataxel where he had set up. Williams is thrown out at first, moving over to third as Manzo with the ball hit on the right side of the infield. And 2 away, and that'll bring up Thomas Ferrogero.
Third baseman, number 7, Thomas Ferrogero.
Ferrogero started off the day with a single. Since then, he popped out on a bunt attempt, and then he grounded out to second. At the time, it was to Jake Sukata. Takes a first pitch strike from Allegro on an inside pitch. It's 0-1. Ferrogero actually thought he got hit in his last at-bat in the 7th inning. Wanted to take his base, but the home plate umpire, Garrett Wilson, said, no, you can step right back in this box. That did not hit you. Here's the 0-1. Inside and high near the shoulders of Ferrogero. It's 1-1. One more out for the Pilots to clinch this series. Come from behind fashion. Strike 2 on Ferrogero. Freshman from Wilsonville, Oregon, hits a ground ball into right field, has himself an RBI. Manzo comes in and scores from third. And the inning continues for Santa Clara as it's now 8-4. And that's their first run since leading 3-0 and allowing 8 unanswered runs by the Pilots. They get back on the board here in the 9th, their first run since the 4th inning. As Ben Steck now comes to the plate. Steck is 0 for 5 in this series. 0 for 2 today, including a sac bunt that he had in his first at-bat. It's 0-1 now. Struck out in the 4th, and then he grounded out to Evan Scavato in the 7th. Bounds it off out of play to our right and across the street. 0-2 is the count. One more strike to clinch the series. The 0-2 in the dirt. Clem blocking it with his body. A little too much on that one from Allegro. The 1-2, fouled off, just got enough of it, sends it off the top of the backstop behind home plate. We retreat back to the 1-2 count. Allegro looking for his second save of the season, 18th in his career. Steck doesn't chase on the pitch away. It's 2-2. Ferrogero with that RBI picks up his 8th one on the season and his 19th hit on the year. Had some Central Catholic teammates in attendance today. And Allegro closes it out with a strikeout on Steck. Gets his 18th career save. And the Pilots clinch the series against Santa Clara in Game 2 in what was come from behind fashion. Santa Clara jumped out to the early lead with a run in the first. Got 2 more in the top of the 4th. And then the rally started for the Pilots with 8 unanswered runs. Starting off with Zach Tolia's error that helped him reach base. A couple of back-to-back hits to get those 2 runs. 3 runs in the 5th. A solo home run by Scavato in the 7th. And 2 more insurance runs thanks to a 2 RBI double by Ben Pataxel in the 8th. And even though Santa Clara gets a run in the 9th, it's an 8-4 victory for the Pilots as they look to go for the sweep tomorrow with a 1 p.m. first pitch. And they've set themselves up nicely to try to get into second place before the final weekend of play in WCC play with the tournament in a couple of weekends. Tune in tomorrow. Thank you to the production crew. You guys are the best. Thanks for everything. We'll be back on the WCC network tomorrow. First pitch at 1 p.m. I'm Brian Slyke. Thanks for listening.